Good evening, everyone. My name is Anatoly Oleksienko. I'm professor of international higher education at the Education University of Hong Kong and co-director of the Center for Higher Education Leadership and Policy Studies. And I'm also a host of this particular global webinar series. It's my great pleasure to welcome to our virtual studio today a colleague from Ukraine, Yevheniia Polishchuk. She is a professor of Kyiv National Economic University, and she's a Fulbright scholar at the Sloan Business School of Management at Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the cryptoeconomics lab. And she's currently staying with Krakow Economic University in Poland. She has an impressive record, having published more than 100 public articles and other papers on financial technologies, displaced populations, and businesses. And her work was recognized by prestigious prizes for young scholars awarded by Ukraine's president, as well as the parliament and the cabinet of ministers. So in the years of major crises such as COVID, as well as the beginning of the full-scale invasion, she served as deputy head for the international relations of the Young Scientists Council at the Ministry of Education and Science in Ukraine. And she also consulted a number of agencies such as the International Organization of Migration, GIZ, and UNDP. So currently, Yevheniia is building a global network, which is called Ukrainian Science Diaspora. And in all these capacities, she definitely provides a significant source of knowledge on the potential needs as well as ambitions of the Ukrainian scholars abroad and in Ukraine, particularly with regard to thinking on what scholars, young scientists in particular, can do for recovery of the country upon completion of the war, which I guess every one of us expects might soon come to an end sometime soon, hopefully. So without further ado, I want to invite Yevheniia to make her presentation, and she will speak about her findings in her research on these topics which I mentioned. And then we will have a chance to engage her in Q&A, and please feel free to use the chat room for your comments, questions, or prepare your questions. I will definitely invite you to ask that question in person. So Yevheniia, please, we are happy to see you here, and we look forward to learn from you about what is happening in Ukraine, in particular in the area of science and in the networks of Ukrainian scientists locally and globally. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anatoly, for such a warm introduction, and also thank you very much for the invitation. This is my first time for presentation at your part of the world. So I think it will be really insightful for me in terms of some interesting points through cultural differences probably, or some other perspectives as well. So, and also thank you very much for all participants of these meetings, because I think that most of you have evening today. So that's why. Thank you very much for joining this evening to listen also my presentation. Now I'm going to share my slides, and yeah, let's start. So is that okay? Do you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, as it was announced, today we're going to talk about impact assessment of the Ukrainian science diaspora on rebuilding the research and higher education system of Ukraine. I prepared this presentation together with my colleague Igor Lemon, and this story has been conducted in support of GIZ. This is German aid agency, and they support the diaspora movements and also the diaspora communities. So first of all, I would like to tell you more about Ukrainian Science Diaspora as an initiative. So far, we are an initiative. We are not an NGO. We are about to become an NGO. And I'm not the only one. And here on the slide, you can see other my colleagues who are involved in shaping this community and also in running this community. We are also telling other people that we are uniting the Ukrainian scholars from around the world to rebuild Ukraine. And as you know, in 2022, the war has started. And actually, it was a real unexpected event in all our lives. And as you know, a lot of refugees and also displaced populations internally and externally has been appeared, and they all needed support at that time. So, and according to the Ministry of Education and Science in Ukraine, more than 5,000 scholars have been fled because of the war, and then in 2022, we conducted also a study with Polish Academy of Science, SGH Warsaw School of Economics, and other my colleagues about future plans of Ukrainian scholars and what they are going to do in the nearest future. Are they going to return, or are we going to integrate to the European or world global research system or whatever? So, and this survey showed us that half of these scholars or these respondents, they are not going to return back to Ukraine, but they were willing to keep connections with their colleagues in Ukraine, with their home institutions, home universities. And for them, it was important to contribute to rebuilding and supporting Ukraine and Ukrainian colleagues in need. So as a network, we were established in 2022, and this is a network of individual scientists and also of scientific communities, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit later. So technically, from the very beginning, we were supported by Massachusetts Institute of Technology Digital Center, and also then, and we are still supported by the Ministry of Education and Science in Ukraine. So if you will visit our webpage, this is ukr.gov.ua. So this is gov.ua host, and they support us because they understand that it is important to keep connections with those scholars who left country, and not only before 2022 and after 2022. So we are going to, as I told, that we are going to transform our initiative into NGO in Ukraine. And on March 2nd, we conducted the first legal consultation with advisor how to do it, because the network is complex. I wouldn't say complex because we understand each other, but from the legal points of view, sometimes it can be. And then we also conducted a meeting with representatives of all these small networks, let's say chapters we call them, but later we would like to call them like diaspora partner organizations. And next week we are going to conduct the second meeting, and we also will present our future of and our plans for this NGO. So on the web, this slide, you can see the map, and actually this is our first digital product that we launched, and from this map actually everything has started, and we didn't know how this map will lead us to other initiatives, which I'm going to tell you about. So the idea of this map is to make visible those Ukrainian origin scientists who are going to contribute to rebuilding of Ukraine. And here you can see that more than 300 of scholars has joined us. I think it right now it's more than 400, and we do not do some special promotion, but people join us every day. And as you can see on this left part of the slide, the individual level of this community can be showed as here. For example, if you zoom all these figures that you have seen previously, and you can see the also number of the scholar, from where this scholar left, I mean from Ukraine, and where this scholar is now, and for example what science area, and when this or that scholar left Ukraine, before 2022 or after 22. That's important because the potential of those scholars is really different, and we have to take this into consideration. Then we are trying to build network, and also build different policies focused on establishing relationships with diaspora scientists, and also contacts. And as I told you, we have like two layers of our community. First is like individual layer, and the second is like science diaspora organizational level. And right now we have more than 18 organizations, like partner organizations, and these organizations, they are formed by and established by scholars, Ukrainian scholars, in different countries. So, and we have in 15 countries, we have such kind of scholars. And we understood that somehow we as Initiative Ukrainian Science Diaspora have to be distinguished among these partner science organizations. And we understood that we have somehow to support them in their development. And as we are supported by the Ministry of Education and Science in Ukraine, we are as an intermediary between those scholars, diaspora organizations, and our Ministry of Education, our National Foundation of Research, and other national policy level stakeholder. We also try to position ourselves as a consolidated informational channel from our partner diaspora organizations. That's really important to show their activity, and to take them from their bubbles, and also to show other Ukrainian scholars who are abroad and who are in Ukraine that there is a lot of activities, and there is this give, of course, hope, and of course this encourage other scholars, Ukrainian scholars, how it can be possible to support Ukraine, and probably to give an opportunity to think how it can be done together within uniting their efforts. Ukrainian Science Diaspora is a career development hub. We are proud of our mentorship program. So right now we have 4 cohorts of mentorship sessions, and there are more than 30 Ukrainian scholars who are in Ukraine, have been mentored by those Ukrainian Science Diaspora scholars from different points of the world. And it's really very interesting and very strong results which this mentorship program give us and show us, and the results are really prominent. So we have Fulbright scholars, we have also GMAF scholars at risk at MIT as well, and other prominent universities. We have applications and successful applications for grants, and of course they publish a joint publication in very good and very strong journals. And I would say this probably from the first sign very simple instrument, but it is very effective, and it's important to think how to scale up it. Also, we position ourselves as Ukrainian Science Diaspora as a think tank for diaspora solutions and science diplomacy. We are preparing policy brief based on data, and actually today I'm going to tell you more about the latest policy brief that we were prepared, and also the second policy brief. This is about what really Ukrainian universities do need from diaspora, and how we can match them in a better way. Also, Ukrainian Science Diaspora is a science diplomacy knowledge provider because together with my colleagues, we collected a bibliography on science diplomacy, which is right now a very popular direction in Ukraine, and science scholars, they understand that science diplomacy, it's the way also how to make bigger the impact with their studies. And we have selected bibliography for science diaspora because we understand that those partner diaspora organizations, they didn't know how to run those diaspora organizations. And they felt, and they continue feeling, some difficulties with running, with establishment contacts with other stakeholders, and also how to find a proper way to support Ukraine and to promote Ukrainian science, Ukraine abroad and among their colleagues. Also, we conducted a series of interview, and Anatoly also was an interviewee there. These are prominent scholars who are considered as science diplomats, and they tell us about their experience in conducting this science diplomacy, and actually their experience how is to be as an activist, as a scholar activist. Also, our partners, they provide us with information about different success and also not very successful stories about activities of Ukrainian science diaspora. And we consolidate this data because it's important, as I mentioned, to show the diversity of events, the diversity of measures which are raised from scholars, individual scholars and partner organizations, and to show this unity between us. And we understood that digitalization can also improve the situation with establishing and keeping sustainable connections with scholars diaspora. So therefore, we position ourselves as well as a digital hub for the internalization of higher education in Ukraine. So, and the first our digital tool was a digital map from the very beginning that you've seen. And also we are developing, and they are about also in launching in 2026. And first of all, this is model of digital petitions, because as I mentioned, a lot of different events and a lot of different, let's say, activities are conducting, and there can be also like we have, as a diaspora, we have a lot of small voices, but to make this bigger voice, we have to unite. So therefore, we are creating a digital petition instrument, and this is a digital science diplomacy instruments. As I told you, that for making multiple small diaspora voices into powerful, huge voice of Ukrainian scholars. And it's not only for diaspora scholars. This is also these instruments which will unite science diaspora and also scholars who are staying in Ukraine. Also, in our community, we understood that there is a problem of those scholars who are who left Ukraine after 2022, because the integration to EU or other system is really difficult. from different points of view, starting from, let's say, some legal points and continuing with some cultural differences in the academic sphere. And they need to be provided with more job searching information. So, and we are creating this digital job searching model, and it is AI based. Also, digital system for partnership and consortium AI is based also these instruments, and model impact assessment of the science diaspora on rebuilding processes in Ukraine. And this will be also as a fundamental for a science diplomacy award, and this science diplomacy award will be a national level award. So we also right now conducting this conversation with the Ministry of Education and Science in Ukraine. And also it is about grant research regarding opportunities for cooperation with Ukraine, because one of the most difficult part of making impact bigger on the research and educational system rebuilding of Ukraine is to get money and also time for these activities. We also collected a map of expert knowledge of the science diaspora from different countries. And this is more about science and policy integration. So, because not only in higher education and research system, Ukrainian scholars in diaspora want to contribute. They are ready to join to different working groups, which are related to their scientific area, for example, environmental protection or medicine or etc. And they are ready to work not only with universities and national level, let's say, higher education and research institutions, but also other public authorities, and not only public authorities. And right now, I want to go smoothly to this research that we conducted on impact assessment of the Ukrainian science diaspora on rebuilding research and higher education system in Ukraine. So in October, November 2025, we conducted a study. It was an online survey, and there were 300 respondents from different countries. And then this survey has been analyzed with SPSS and also with some qualitative and for content analysis methods. And we understood that it's important to have some data for policy formation and policy making for this establishing diaspora relationships with Ukraine. So here on the slide, you can see the profile of science diaspora respondents, and there are more women as a respondents because actually usually they are more often respond on questions, but not only because of this, because those who left Ukraine in 2022, these are 66%, and they are mostly women who left Ukraine. So here you can see also those who left Ukraine, those 34%, and they left Ukraine before 2022. So as you can see, the most respondents have their PhD. Some of them had a Doctor of Science. Doctor of Science, this is like habilitation degree in Ukraine. And you can see also a country distribution of respondents. And as it already traditional, they are mostly from Germany, Poland, and the United Kingdom. And there is also different age of these respondents, and the most significant group is age 40-49. It means that they are mid-career researchers, and most of them represent 36% social sciences, then natural sciences and humanities, less medical sciences and engineering, and agricultural sciences as well. So here I would like also to draw your attention on current professional status abroad. And those who are work for a foreign academic institution temporarily, they are 38%, and those who work remotely for a Ukrainian institution, this is 30%. And that's important in terms then we are talking about returning Ukrainian scholars in Ukraine from EU and other countries. And it's important to ask why they still work remotely for this Ukrainian institution. 25% of work for a foreign academic institution permanently. Some of them receive scholarship grants, and it means that they have this temporary position. And then they are going to go back to Ukraine, or they are looking for other opportunities or for other, let's say, scholar at risk grant. Some of them work at NGO, in private company. Only 5% currently are unemployed. Also, some of them are working for think tank or retired. So, and we were asked them about participation of the diaspora in activities supporting Ukraine. And more than 90% answered that they support Ukraine regularly or occasionally. But anyway, it's a very positive indicator for us, because they are interested to support Ukraine, and they are not indifferent what's going on in Ukraine with their colleagues and their home institutions. So, and we ask them, what do you think, why Ukrainian institutions are open, are willing to to be supported by you or to cooperate by you? So, and they told that, of course, this is cooperation in grants and funding their research. Some of them told this is about editorial support, and actually this is a quite concrete request from Ukrainian journals authorities, that they are interested in this kind of cooperation, because one thing is, of course, they are interested to show that their editorial boards are represented by also international representatives. And other point that the requirement from Ministry of Education and Science, that actually some of international representatives must be in their editorial boards. Then there are different forms of cooperations with Ukrainian institutions. So there are some joint scientific publication, almost 50%, participation in conferences, workshops, also 49%. Then promotion of Ukrainian science and culture abroad, teaching and giving lectures, joint preparation of grant applications, and scientific consulting for Ukrainian students, graduate students, young scientists, and also joint research projects. What I can tell, that from the individual level, so Ukrainian scholars in the diaspora and Ukrainian scholars in Ukraine, they are really quite successful, and actually there is a need to support them as well, but to make this impact bigger, we have to take some measures, and also to make a decision what to do and how to do this impact bigger. Also, we ask about some barriers to participation of diaspora science activities, and some concrete engagement. So, what's important to tell here, that there are some mechanisms for encouraging and determining contribution to Ukrainian rebuilding. And 76% they told that they would like to continue to accept invitation to participate in joint international research programs in Ukraine. We have some good practices of inviting diaspora scholars to, let's say, a supervisory and advisory strategic council of Ukrainian educational and scientific agencies, and also on the level of the universities. So, and And that's important how alumni are joining these supervisory bodies or advisory bodies at the universities. And actually, this is a really important part of their contribution to the development of their universities. And also, some of them tell that they would like to be provided with special scholarship for, let's say, temporary returning back to Ukraine and then sharing their experience at universities, Ukrainian universities and Ukrainian language, because again, what the diaspora covers, this is let's say, a need to have a good command of English then it comes about international cooperation in science. And also some of them tell that they would like to have some official prizes or distinctions like professors, honoraries or something like this. And there are some obstacles to active contribution to Ukraine rebuilding engagement. This is poor communication between Ukrainian institution and scientists abroad. Despite the fact that we all talk one language, but at the same time, there's a real need to keep this communication and to support and to coordinate this connection. Lack of funding, instability of financial programs. And this is not about self-funding. This is about funding these activities. And if we are talking about this individual level, so of course, in solidarity with our Ukrainian colleagues, we are ready to support them with the consultations, with mentorship in different areas. But at the same time, if we want to have bigger and more impactful project, we have to have funding and special programs for this. Also, sometimes this can be, I would say, misunderstanding on how the diaspora scholars can be supportive for universities, for home universities. And please do not forget that Ukraine right now is in war. And sometimes the priority on actions which are related to war, for example, energy consumption or heating, they are on the first place. Yes, and this international communication and other stuff, they really are next level of those activities or priorities. Of course, we have some bureaucratic obstacles, and these are from both sides, from the side of the Ukrainian universities and from side of foreign institutions, especially then it comes about some research equipment transferring, and that's really a big obstacle which reduce this impact of the diaspora. Next slide, it is about support, awareness, and motivation. So Ukrainian scientists in the diaspora, they mentioned that there should be some international donor support for this diaspora movement. Because again, when we are asking about Ukraine, why Ukraine does not support this, Ukraine does support this. We are supported by the Ministry of Education of Science, by President Foundation on Science, Youth and Sport, and also a research foundation. But at the same time, again, Ukraine right now is in the war. So, and the questions about diaspora connection, they are important, but they are not the first priority. And that's good that we have international organizations such like GIZ or International Organization of Migration, and they are ready to support some bigger projects and initiatives. What about awareness of opportunities for cooperation with Ukrainian colleagues? So as you can see, again, this is consequences of this weak communication, that they do not know, scientists in the diaspora, they do not know how it can be possible to cooperate with Ukrainian scholars. And these are 44%. And we also asked about incentives that could increase interest in cooperation with Ukraine. And there are different answers among those who left Ukraine before February 2022 and after February 2022. I would say that, and I would like to highlight that was an open question. And a lot of scientists, they answered, I don't need any incentive. My country is in need, is in trouble. So therefore, this is my obligatory and my duty to support and to help my country, my colleagues, and the universities which are in Ukraine. However, they want to be involved in shaping Ukraine's scientific policy and development strategies. This is our 68%. These are before February 22. Why? Because they can see how it is possible to make and to rebuild this higher education system and research system in a better way, and to set up probably new traditions and new activities related to this experience. And also, this is opportunity to participate in joint international projects supported by Ukraine. This also financial remuneration, but again, as I mentioned, this is more about those activities which can be supported and can be increased involvement of diaspora scientists and also diaspora communities and Ukrainian scientists. So, and also this is support for mobility, like business trip visits and conferences. So almost the same structure for those who after 2022, but they put financial remuneration on the second place instead of those who I mentioned previously. So as you can see, our survey, they gave us answer what can be what are the problems, and we also try to develop some recommendations to different stakeholders. And first problem is the communication between scientists in the diaspora and scientists in Ukraine. And here we gave recommendations for scientists in the diaspora, for scientists in Ukraine. And first of all, to be proactive and to ask also other colleagues, their colleagues, if they are in Ukraine. So ask them what do they need. If they are in the diaspora, ask them how they, for example, can join to different networks, global network, let's say. Also, we offer them to use this Ukrainian Science Diaspora website and find new connections through our mentorship program and also our digital instruments, and create their own activities, create their own connections. Because again, so as Ukrainian Science Diaspora initiative, we do not know everything. We are from different fields of science. And for example, it's okay that we have a partner diaspora organization, let's say in Austria, but they are from physics, from chemistry, from language, or other, economics as well. It's important to match them with scientists from the same area in Ukraine. So therefore, it's like we introduce like instruments for creating these activities and for starting these initiatives. For the Ministry of Education and Science in Ukraine, we call them to keep attention and also to transform the Ukrainian Science Diaspora Initiative into a coordination center with Diaspora. Because as I mentioned, our initiative mostly based on volunteer work of our volunteer, whom I showed you at the very beginning. And it's important to have stability and to have sustainable in our actions, in our team and people who are involved. For universities and research labs in Ukraine, so it's important to pay attention not only to alumni from business, but also from scientific communities, because they are their science ambassadors, and that's are potentially those people who can represent your university directly at different countries, at different universities. So that's really also very simple instrument how your university, home university, can be more visible for other universities, partner universities in other countries. Also for NGOs and other communities that represent different communities of science in Ukraine, to use this power of network and become a hub for hosting of Ukrainian scientists in diaspora, with the different speeches, presentations, involving two different groups, working groups, I mean. The second is lack of program support and joint activities. So here we gave different recommendations for our Ministry of Education and Science and other scientific agencies, for donors and for National Research Foundation. It's to develop a seed funding program for establishing joint labs for scientists in diaspora and scientists in Ukraine, and also to introduce opportunities for joint management of scientific projects of diaspora scientists, those who are in Ukraine. Also to support development special research and bilateral programs for researchers from top countries, as I mentioned, Germany, Poland, and United Kingdom, because the concentration of Ukrainian scientists in diaspora in those countries are really, really big. And also for donors, because so everyone in Ukraine among donors are talking about returning Ukrainians, not only scholars, but returning. This is not cheap for those programs. So returning should be as well with the impact on research infrastructure, on human capital development, and etc. So these programs should be developed as well. And also problem of bureaucracy and huge challenge to receive science in diaspora support. For universities and research labs of Ukraine, we recommended to provide the University of Research Institute regulations with possibility of officially involving professor with foreign affiliation. And again, this is internal, let's say, document that that must have every university for establishing these connections with diaspora scientists, with the network of diaspora scientists, with their alumni as well. And again, for the Ministry of Education and Science, this is to ensure the rapid recognition of degrees obtained at the Western universities. It's important to accept them into Ukrainian system as well. There's also some recommendation about making stronger rewarding mechanism at all values, and we recommend to establish special rewards for contribution to science diplomacy, to women in science diaspora or science diplomacy, then first stop in science diplomacy, and also to develop already existing and to use them more often existing mechanism of rewarding actively those scholars who support them, who are their alumni. And the last, that probably for us, this is developing these digital instruments that I already mentioned, just to make diaspora scientists more visible and make Ukrainian scientists in Ukraine for diaspora also more visible. And in conclusion, what I would like to say that good science, as you know, starts with talented people, good funding, and effective infrastructure. And all these mentioned components can be covered with diaspora and cooperation with diaspora. Also, it's important to distinguish the diaspora, which has been formed before 2022 and after 2022. So, of course, the potential of contribution of those scientists who left Ukraine before the war is higher. And right now we have to support also those who left Ukraine after 2022 because Ukraine will be Ukrainian scientists representatives, scientific communities and networks as well in different countries and Ukrainian universities. So these people should be supported in their integration. Also, supporting the diaspora is not only the responsibility of Ukrainian scientists abroad. For the diaspora system to be effective, it is necessary to be able to accept it. So it is important to think about overcoming these bureaucratic obstacles for both sides, Ukrainian side and also side of foreign institutions. So digitalization give us a hope to keep us stronger connections with those who left Ukraine after 2022 and to make stronger communication and also to renew communications with those scientists who left Ukraine before the war. So diaspora cannot solve all the problems of Ukrainian universities and research institutions in general system, but it can significantly accelerate the internationalization, rebuilding, and integrating to global research society. So these are the last my conclusion. And right now I would like to answer your questions and probably to hear from you your feedback on my presentation. And if you have some question, you can also text me or write me, and I will be happy to continue our conversation.
Thank you very much, Yevheniia. The presentation gives us a lot of insight in terms of the scope of work that you've been doing, as well as the challenges that scholars abroad face in collaboration with their colleagues at home. So let me, invite questions, but before I see any raised hands or questions in the chat, let me ask you a question about what you mentioned as that type of bureaucracy or rigidity in terms of the ministry or institutions, universities being unable to open a space for some effective collaboration, right? Just so where exactly is this particular problem? I mean, we talk about bureaucracy time and again, like so many publications go back to the same kind of issue. There's been change taking place after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and it's been more than 30 years now. So in general, what's going on? I mean, like where exactly is this particular obstacle, and how can this obstacle be removed, and what is the role of those scientists who can contribute at the time of crisis? I mean, is crisis here an opportunity, or is crisis here a huge challenge in some way?
Well, thank you very much for this question. And what's about bureaucracy? The first is, of course, then it comes about recognition of these scholarship degrees. And for example, I will give you an example that one of PhD candidate, let's say, and she wanted to contribute with online lections on biomedical statistics or something like this. And this is more for master degrees student course. And on master degrees course, it is required that a person with a scientific degree should be as a lecturer at this in these in those master programs. That's one of such obstacles. And again, the same example, because she wanted to contribute on volunteer based, and that was a question how to accept this volunteer based supporting. And that was the question, how to she couldn't be employed because she didn't want that, and they didn't understand how to accept her in the system of university system, because again, so with this shaping formal relationships as between employee and employer, you got an access to some systems, like we all have like access to Moodle system, for example. But because of this, let's say, bureaucracy, yes, why not to accept her and not to organize these courses and not to give a certificate from foreign university or something like this? That's important for those students. But this solving the problem has been solved, and this is the second year that they conduct this university course. But at the same time, this was a challenge for them, how to accept this person and how to accept this support. The second, probably it's not connected with education and science, but with support in education and science. So two last winters were very difficult for Ukrainian universities, and as a humanitarian aid, they received electric generators. Yes, and that was a real problem, how to accept this humanitarian aid. So, but again, as you mentioned, is crisis is like a challenge or a chance? Yes, and I think that in those cases that was also a chance. So the university community started thinking about how to overcome these obstacles and also to accept this contribution. So, and the second, which was actually third, probably important, but it has been resolved on the national level, let's say. Recently, let's say, approximate document about scientific ambassador has been issued by the Ministry of Education and Science. And this was because of contribution of our Polish Diaspora partner organization, because again, that was important to keep connections with those people who left universities after 2022. And actually, they can be real, very supportive in making cooperation and collaboration. And universities, they don't know how to, didn't know how to save these connections. But the ministry, let's say, they gave them a general framework. And right now, the task of the universities is to develop their own regulation, interregulation on the university level. So probably it's not like very, very concrete example, but on the every step, we face some challenge, and this is mostly about bureaucracy, not about willing to accept, but about possibility to accept by system of this diaspora contribution.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. So let me then follow up with another question. You talk about scientists in general. However, the Ukrainian system is that kind of post-Soviet system where a lot of science was conducted within the Academy of Science, not in universities really. So, and as when we look into the publications data, most of these significant publications are really in the academies of science, in the National Academy of Science in particular, rather than in universities like it is the case in many other countries, right? Just particularly in those countries which shape the whole discourse and matrix of global science. So from that point of view, in terms of when we talk about these scientists, from which particular level or area they come from? Are they coming from universities, or are they coming from national science institutions? Do you have any data in terms of how you see these types of differences in terms of their challenges, communication strategies, or obstacles, or something of that kind? Is there any kind of perspective on how we can see university scientists versus academy scientists uh, in general, or in particular cases like you presented?
Actually, we try not to distinguish, let's say, for at the publicity level, that we distinguish scientists from universities, scientists from Ukraine, scientists outside of Ukraine, because my first slide was about uniting Ukrainian scholars around the formula and the word for supporting and rebuilding Ukraine. At the same time, for understanding who are our representatives of our network, we have to do this analysis. And mostly this it is related with university scientists. Yes, and there are several reasons for this. And first of all, probably this is because those who created this network, me and my co-founder Igor Liman, we are from the university, and we also were joined to different university networks in Ukraine. So, and this is NGO Innovative University, and there are more than 190 representatives of all universities in Ukraine. And the second, this is also the Research Council of Early Career Researchers of Young Council at the Ministry of Education and Science. And they are also cover Ukrainian scholars, Ukrainian scientists who are in universities. So probably because of that. And the third reason that National Academy of Science in Ukraine, they have their own Young Scientists Council. They all have at their university institutions level, they have also quite developed international cooperation. So therefore, probably the need to be connected with scholars from universities not so high like from those who are at universities. So probably, but again, as you mentioned, the number of publication of scientists from National Academy of Science is bigger. And why? Because the National Academy of Science is a big network. Yes, so different institutions. And because of that, they showed these results. And for them, it's like establishing those relationships with Diaspora was like an ordinary thing, and they understood this Diaspora channel of cooperation pretty well, even before the war.
Mm-hmm.
So probably these reasons can be the answer on your question.
But if we just kind of look into those differences, I would assume that scientists from the National Academy would be probably better funded, better positioned, better connected to some industrial projects which are currently priority in those strategic developments which you mentioned, like energy or military and defense security projects and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So I might assume that their connections and their ways of communicating or building all the strategies might be a bit different from what university scientists might experience. I mean, that just kind of hypothesis. I don't really have any data regarding that particular difference, but might be really interesting to see if there are these types of kind of stark differences as they existed before in the Soviet times and the post-Soviet times. So for some reason, the post-Soviet system didn't want to get rid of the National Academy of Science. So it existed as a big institution on its own, really. So, and that's
Yeah.
that's a kind of an interesting kind of paradox. But I mean, but at the same time, the question for the existence and the futures of Ukrainian science in general, I might kind of assume so. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, my feelings is the same, the same. Probably again, no data, no concrete data, but the feelings
Right,
is the
right.
same.
So it's yeah, okay. I guess we have reached the kind of the limit of our hour in the webinar, and I very much appreciate, Yevheniia, your insights coming from your project, and thank you everyone for taking part in this webinar. As Yevheniia suggested, feel free to reach out and learn more or become a participant of the network. I suppose it might be that an option there just for developing some affiliations with the scholars who have interest to be in touch with Ukrainian scholars as well, right? So I hope so. But nonetheless, let's continue learning, and thank you everyone for your contribution, your time with us. Thank you.